Welcome to the thrilling world of Security Squawk, where we explore cybersecurity. Guiding you through online threats, we'll aid you in understanding safety protocols and trends. Meet our gurus, Brian from Exact IT, Reginald from Arc Solvers, and Randy from Tech Rescue. Together, we'll delve into current events and hot cybersecurity topics, helping you comprehend their impact. Stay informed, stay secure. Security Squawk, the business of cybersecurity. Buckle up, let's dive in.
Ooh, I've really got to get a new intro for the next year. So, all right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Security Squawk podcast. I'm Brian Horning here with Randy, Brian, Reginald, and Andre, as always. And today, it's our annual prediction show. So this is the episode where we look back at what we said would have happened this year. We grade it honestly, and then we plant flags for what's coming here in 2026. We're also going to dive into an article we found about the top 10 cyber attacks of 2025 and kind of what they reveal as we head into 2026. So I want to bring in my co-hosts, Randy and Andre. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the last show of 2025.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. How's it going with you, sir?
It is going as well as it can go. I got to turn my heater off so we don't pick that up in the background.
I think it's going to get up to 80 over here in Texas today. I know we like to rub it in your face.
Yeah, 77 and sunny here, man.
Stop. All right, so if you're watching this right now live on the old live streams, I think we finally hit it up on Instagram, and hopefully we're not streaming in any weird format on all the other places we usually stream to. I know the one time we tried to do it to Instagram, we were showing up vertical to everybody, and I'm sure it was very annoying to watch, but whatever. I think we got it right now with all the settings and everything. So drop us a comment if you're out there watching us. Ask us any questions you have about what we're talking about today, or if you want to drop your predictions for 2026, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you think about what we're talking about in the article with what we're going to discuss, which is essentially businesses ignoring the basics. And remember to hit that like button, share this out where you can, comment, engage, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps other people find this content, and it helps us want to keep doing this for you without annoying commercials and doing it for free. So here we go, guys. Before we get to our own predictions and grading what we talked about last year, we found this little article from, where was it from? Info Security Magazine. So
all right.
Interesting source we have here. But they kind of dove into this little top 10 cyber attacks of 2025, caught our eye, and we wanted to see what these guys were talking about, whether we agree or not, and what our thoughts are around what happened here in 2025. So kind of, I'm going to read off the 10, and then you guys kind of jump in and decide which one you want to talk about. But according to this article, starting from 10, working our way down to number 9, Co-op exploiting Oracle e-business suite was one of the ones that they talked about in the article. Was actually the 10th one. Asahi ransomware and the data exposure of roughly 1.9 million people. And then we got number 8, the Jaguar Land Rover hit labeled a systematic UK event. And I remember Andre bringing that one to the show. Salesforce third-party hacks using compromised OAuth tokens. Randy, I remember you bringing that one to the show. And that is actually one of your predictions from last year. Was around that type of attack. SharePoint on-prem tool shell exploits, number 6 on the list, guys. Number 5 is the airlines were hit pretty bad this year to the tune of Qantas, WestJet, Hawaiian Airlines, all by scattered spider. Coinbase also was hacked, lost about 400 million in that hack. UK retail hack, MS Co-op Harrods, also hit by Scattered Spider, another big hack over in the UK this year. Bybit hack is number 2 on the list here, guys. One of the largest crypto heists in history, to the tune of $1.4 to $1.5 billion. And the number 1 hack of 2025 is the Power School hack, and how they paid the ransom to prevent a student data leak. So there's the top 10 according to this Info Security magazine. What are your thoughts here, guys?
Well, crazy thing is most of these were featured in one of our episodes when they happened. And I was the one that brought the Jaguar. I went and looked it up, and it was me. So yeah, no, it's all good. I don't see how you keep up with them all anyway. But yeah, so the majority of these are even bigger, I would say, than probably this article discusses. The Jaguar one, especially, because that's affected the entire country. And then the Power School thing. So that brought up the Power School one, brought up a lot of discussion around third-party vendors that you're using for one of your services, who gets sued, who gets left holding the bag, and all that kind of jazz, because you have hundreds, if not thousands, of schools using Power School. Power School gets hacked. I use that in quotes because wasn't it just they logged in with credentials or something like that? Didn't have MFA. But anyway, Power School gets hacked, and then all the stuff gets, released and all that jazz. And at the end of the day, I think they paid the ransom, but at the end of the day, who gets stuck holding the bag with that? There's a pretty good discussion around that. That will take us into 2026 as well. Probably brought us into this year as well, that we talked about that a lot.
Yeah, for me, good points, Randy. And then for me, I see the Salesforce, Coinbase, Airlines, all kind of having a similar link. We always, for us as MSPs, we service the small business, but just like the small business will fail or have these troubles, we're seeing that the big brands are really, it's happening the same way. First thing you see is that they all point the fingers at someone else, saying, oh, it wasn't our system, it was a vendor, or it was an API like we talked about last week, or they blame, one of their support partners, like, okay, we needed to give them this data. So we always see like the blame, the finger blame pointing at someone else. But what we also see is that if someone is like, touching your data, at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for that, because the client is doing business with you, not with that third party. So, these big companies, Jaguar, Salesforce, the airlines and things like that, they're having the same issue, just a different level versus your small business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned the Salesforce one. That was another really big one. How many times I know for me, many times I'm researching for the show. I found out some company got hacked, start reading into it, and it was Salesforce. Because didn't we have an issue with, once again, there was no MFA or something like that, and these guys were using social engineering basically to get in to the Salesforce instances for all these different companies and then do what they wanted to with the stuff. If I remember correctly, that's was basically how it was going down. But short story long, that was behind a lot of stuff. I mean, if it was a school, it almost always was like an elementary school, almost always was a Power School behind it. We had tons of businesses, even big businesses, that were showing up with the Salesforce hack, if you will.
Yeah, you would think because of their size, it's gonna be like, okay, they're this big, they're investing this much into cyber, but they're making the same mistake as small businesses. They're missing their patches, human error, and then in this case, just way too much access.
That's so true. I always say that patching is the unsexiest of all the cybersecurity controls. And if that's number one, number two is probably offboarding. And how many hacks have we seen where people weren't properly offboarded? And what I mean by that is a username and a password just sits there. Ought to be shut down, but it just sits there. Somehow the username password combo gets on the dark web, and then the bad guys just come in and just log in, basically. So both of those are very important and could have prevented, and multi-factor could have prevented a lot of 2025's problems.
Randy, when you said a few minutes ago at the top of the show that like a lot of the things that they talked about in this article we discussed on this show, I wasn't going to take this angle coming into the show, but you got me thinking. And I'm sitting here looking at this article in general, and I'm sitting here going, like, everything we talk about on this show has been mentioned in this article. Like, literally last week, I can remember us talking about how, like, most of the damage, like, we've been talking for a while this year. I would say for a while, the three of us have been saying, like, this stuff isn't sophisticated. We're just not doing the basic stuff. Right? If there's one theme that I think if you ask like Chat GTP to analyze all of our transcripts and all of our shows and like, what do these guys basically say? They basically say that businesses don't do a good job of doing the basics around cybersecurity. And every one of these articles is backing that up 1,000%. Every one of these top 10 in this top 10. Right? Most of 2025's damage in these articles comes from attackers using the front door, not blowing holes in the wall.
Yep.
And that's like, and then I think like that's what we say on this show constantly, right? None of this stuff is sophisticated. A lot of companies still think backups solve the ransomware problem. And I think it was 2 years ago that I predicted that ransomware was going by the wayside and they were just going to steal your data. Well, I got another prediction for 2026 that I'm going to lay out for everybody. It's kind of related, but kind of along the same lines, that it's not about locking up your files anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, stolen identity, which is the tokens, which was your prediction from last year, Randy, which is wild that it's, your prediction, actually, at the end of the day is like right, but it's sad because half of it's not right. And it's sad because we're not making any progress.
That's right. The truth is more true than ever, but what we're doing to fix it is
the truth hurts. The truth hurts, Randy. The truth hurts. So, I mean, that was my big takeaway once I started hearing you guys talk. It was like, oh my God, like everything on this top 10 list is what we talk about on this show. It's the obvious. It's, at the end of the day, the other big thing is cybercrime definitely has a strategy behind it now, like in terms of when they attack, how they attack. Their big goal is what I'm going to predict towards the end of this show. And if you can't see it, and if you're a CEO, you need to be paying attention because it's going to be the thing that I don't think anybody's really defined yet or talked about yet, but I think it's going to become a big thing. I think it'll become like the 10% thing in 2026, but I think it'll become an 80, 90% thing over the next 5 years. Right. So, but it's going to start now, and it's only going to get bigger as we progress here. What else did you pull out of this, guys? I mean, to me, cybersecurity is not a sophistication problem. It's not a talent problem. It's a businesses just leaving the front door open and giving these guys easy access to this stuff. That is what I've taken away from this article.
Right. And also when you're talking about a company as big as Jaguar, it becomes way more complex, because if you're dealing with 20, 30 computers to do updates and so forth like that, but when you're talking about 5, 10 different systems, and some are on the internet, some are off the internet, some legacy and all of this different things, it just becomes way more complicated. And when you have different departments pushing back to say, oh no, we can't do this yet, or whatever the case is, it just becomes really difficult for the business to kind of want to move forward in having the standards, because money, right? They got to make the money, and if this system over here needs to stay on, but then you have to, like, for example, you could have the marketing department and they need to send out these emails fast and they're not paying attention, and when they send out the email, or if they give, like, for example, the task to a third-party company to send out the emails, but then nobody's paying attention, and in addition to the email addresses, they're putting sensitive information about the client, not realizing that this third party now has that information. So it's like all of these different complexities that you're dealing with when it comes to data that nobody's paying attention, and then that's when these mistakes will happen.
Yeah. So, Randy, any last thoughts before I kind of wrap this up and go into more predictions? But I have thoughts though, so we're going to keep this discussion going.
I mean, overall, I think you nailed it on the head. We're seeing a lot of businesses leave the front door open, and maybe the front door's not open, but the key's under the mat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, we're seeing a lot of that, and a lot of it is going back to that unsexy stuff of patching and offboarding people and MFA and things like that. So that's I wish that we were at a place that we were like, man, 2025, that was a year of cybersecurity, man, where we nailed it and we moved forward. And I feel like we're the exact same place we were a year ago, if not worse. Because we had a little time, and I'm going off on a tangent, and I'll wrap it up in the next 30 seconds. We had a little time during 2025 where everybody was like, oh, all the money's going to leave cybersecurity and go to AI. Businesses are going to spend all their money on AI. They're going to forget cybersecurity. And that may have happened with the money, but the cybersecurity is more important now than it's ever been.
I don't know, but I would also say we've been talking about the same thing since we started our podcast, right? Like, sure. Not too much has changed. Some have obviously evolved, but
what's changed is how the cyber criminals attack businesses, but the businesses haven't changed on their cyber defense. The businesses haven't changed, yeah. Right? Yeah. I think a couple of things need to shift, guys. Number one, I wonder, because I have what I would call a kind of subconscious security scorecard in my head. And maybe that's because I'm in the business and I don't know if the rest of the world operates like this, or at least some of the world, or maybe people that care about their finances and their identity getting stolen. But at the same time, I do think about businesses and what they're is this a business that I hear about in the news a lot that frequently gets hacked, especially when it comes to banks and banking and things like that? I do consider that as part of do I want to actually open a bank account there, or open a credit card, or get a line of credit from that institution? Are they going to protect my data? Right. I hate the fact that I have to, I really have no choice when it comes to healthcare and the way that whole system's set up, and knowing, they're probably going to get hacked, and, a doctor or somebody who has my health information is probably going to get hacked, because I can't really freely choose to go whatever I want based on the system we have set up. So that's kind of annoying, right? Do you guys think there's this subconscious scorecard that I described, or do you think there's a need for almost a public scorecard to be out there, that an app that people can reference around this stuff? Is that a worthwhile thing that people would even use, or people aren't going to care? It's
I don't think people, for example, in South Florida, and I'm sure they copied it from somebody else, there's ABC news station. They have a show called Dirty Dining, where they basically take the state health report, and if there was cockroaches all over the prepping area of a restaurant, the
ice machine.
yeah, the news station will go and try to speak with the people there, and typically the people there, their English is not 100%, and they just make this whole situation look worse. But it's newsworthy, and then
like the people that are eating there or the people that work.
The workers, they go and try to interview the workers, and
Right.
typically the business owner doesn't tell the worker not to talk to media. So now you have a worker who's basically like, "Oh, everything is clean. I don't know what you're talking about."
But I'm saying to you, like, I mean, if I knew that a place, I knew if a restaurant wasn't clean. I mean, I can pretty much tell a restaurant's not clean by walking into the place. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't need the health department to tell me they're not doing a good job. But if they're on a health department list, I'm certainly not going to go there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, are people going to these restaurants after that, or
If they saw the dirty dining report, I'm sure they won't. But like, I don't think in our, like, for example, let's take cell phones, right? All the 4 biggest carriers have been hacked one way or another. So like, what then do we do? Do you not go to Microsoft? Do you not go to AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, you know?
Cricket
So,
Mobile,
like,
baby. Cricket Mobile?
oh my God. Right?
They're on AT&T's network. So
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I just don't think the consumer has that.
Right.
Yeah, there's certain systems that are out there. You're just not going to have a choice, like healthcare. Like, you're not going to. You got to go with whatever doctor is on your plan or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's how it works for me.
Yeah.
I mean, so like, I mean, I have a choice, but it's like 3 doctors instead of like 500 that are in my area. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, if I have to go to one of those 3 and one of those 3 or all 3 get hacked, I mean, there's no choice there. So I think when you have choice, do people care?
So I think yes, but no. But what you're saying is a need, and we've got little tentacles kind of headed that way, but we're just not there yet because we have, like, Texas has a wall of shame kind of thing for breaches. I'm sure other states do as well. You know, you've got the HIPAA wall of shame, where, you know, if you have a HIPAA violation, your
HIPAA enforcement is like, you got a better chance of seeing a unicorn.
Exactly. You've got, so some industries have compliance, like military contractors now are moving towards this, being forced to the CMMC compliance. You mentioned earlier, it might have been in the green room, but about the state of New York having some stuff in place. And then a lot of this might come down to self-reporting, or somebody putting together an app that brings together the wall of shame and the, you know, and the CMMC violations or whatever. If I said that right, that's not one of my areas of expertise. But then, you know, at the same time, like, is this going to be like some kind of self-reporting thing? You know,
I mean, I guess it's like the same conversation. Do people care about like the Better Business Bureau rating? Right. So if you were to set up like the Better Business Bureau version of cybersecurity, right? Do people care? Like, do you do business with somebody who has a low Better Business Bureau score?
I mean, usually that doesn't come out. It's more of an affirmation of what you already knew. Because, like, how often, like, oh, I'm going to go to blah, blah, blah dealership. Let me check their BBB first.
Right.
That's what I'm saying about like a restaurant. Like, I can look at the ceiling tiles and know if they're a clean restaurant or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't need the health department to tell me.
Or the bathroom.
Yeah, that's the 2 things I look at. I look at the ceiling tiles, and then I go in the bathroom. And if I get skeeved out, I leave.
I've been to some places where you just make sure you don't look up and you don't use the restroom.
There you go, man.
That's your choice. And you're still here.
But yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know if people would want to see that. I mean, okay, so there's Yelp, and Yelp, as you know, a very low rating, like in New York City on their website. But I tell you what, when it comes to certain things, they live and die by Yelp. Like,
Right.
Yelp ratings in New York City for food and
Huge.
going out to eat, like they live
At
and
one
die.
point, it was huge. Yeah.
So could you have a Yelp security or cyber Yelp or something like that?
I think more along the lines of like a glass door type of system, which I think works really well for understanding how well your employer is and what it's like to work at a company.
Mhm.
I think more along the lines of something like that, like as opposed to a Yelp that's more like public, like Google reviews, stuff like it would have to be a system that somebody like gets information and feedback and also does kind of like their own research. I think that's the type of system that would work, right, for something like that. Anyway, my point of all that and discussing that with you guys is something we've been talking about for years and years, but I still think the CEOs haven't gotten it, right? And I think they need to get it. I think the big thing they need to get is the world, like this whole cybersecurity thing, it's shifting away from like, should we pay or not, right? And that's the game we're playing right now with most businesses. Most businesses deal with a cyber attack. They are playing the game of should we play or not, and real cyber resilience, and that to me is the goal all businesses should be trying to achieve. That is the word you should know, and that is what you should be trying to achieve. And you need to figure out how fast you can limit the blast radius that we talk about on this show.
Yeah.
Right? How fast you can limit it. Like, meaning if something goes wrong, if something gets through, how fast can we kill it off so it can't get to something else? And if you can figure that out in your environment, you're going to win. You're going to beat these guys. They're not going to be able to get very far. Right? So start looking at this problem that we're talking about today as like the real failure being whether you are having discussions in your company or something bad would happen, right? Because I know you're not doing tabletops, and this is where you would figure this out if you were actually doing tabletops, right? And if you don't know what tabletops are, then you don't know what an incident response plan is, which you should have, right? But the real failure is not paying the ransom. It's needing to make that decision in the first place.
So 2026, we're not going to. How cool would it be in 2026 if an article said we didn't get hacked, we had a management failure, right? Like management didn't do its job, and this is why this happened.
True. I mean, that's how it should be looked at. And anything less than that, Andre, in my opinion, is a cop-out. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. I'm a big personal responsibility guy, big Jocko Willem-Neck guy, right? Like, stop passing the buck to the IT team or saying that the hackers are too sophisticated.
Yeah. They're not hackers. They're professional door openers, man.
Yes, they are. That's what we're saying here. It's not sophistication. It's your lack of wanting to do something about this.
That's so dang true. Like, we see, what would y'all say? 1 out of 100 that we investigate are actually a highly sophisticated, if not 1 out of 500.
Yeah, dude, the sophisticated ones are like happening against like government. Yeah, DOD, and they're getting into like weapon systems and
and they're getting into like 365 buckets and things like that. You know, you're right. And the majority of it is just they've not taken that attitude of zero trust, of cyber resilience, limiting the blast radius. Like, you're gonna get attacked. There are bombs getting lobbed your way all the time. They're going to get over your fence. They're going to blow up in your yard. And what are you going to do when it happens? Is it going to be the end of your business, or is it going to be a blip, a 90-minute blip from we caught it, we shut it down, we investigated, we remediated, boom, we're back in business. And it really does. You have to start with what you're saying. That's a great couple of points, Brian.
Yeah. Just to finish that, that's kind of like if you left let's just say you left your cell phone somewhere and then someone took it and you wanted to call the police just to report it or whatever. It's like you don't tell the police I got robbed. You tell the police, hey, I left my cell phone and someone took it. So it's like the same thing for businesses now. It's like, hey, it's not that I got hacked. It's like I just wasn't doing the right things and someone took advantage of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am ready to get into predictions. Are you guys ready to get into predictions?
Yeah. Well, were we right last year?
All right, so let's get up there. Let's roll the tape, as they say in the
Man, Randy, you got younger, man.
in the showbiz world.
Randy's got younger.
So,
I don't know about that. Hey, but yeah, we got the receipts here. That's what this is called.
we do. And Andre was actually the first one to chime in here with like the quickest prediction ever. I didn't even realize it was his prediction. I thought he actually had another one, but Randy and I, as usual, cut him off and took over the show. And,
man of little words.
Yes, man of little words, as they say. Although I would say in 2025, Andre, you've come out of your shell a little bit. So
Thank you.
We like the fact that you're not a man of little words anymore. But the man of little words last year gave his prediction. Let me see if I'm in the right spot in the video. Hopefully I am.
A lot of debt with bonds, and people just don't pay attention.
Seeing it's a
My prediction
things.
to things like this.
I'll get there.
Well, I mean, I know in a town that I used to live in, and you're calling reserves, but your target will be in 2025. So let's wrap up this show, guys. Big one here, a little over an hour here for the end of 2024. What's your prediction, your one prediction that we can go back to next year and say, oh, you were wrong?
Oh, I got one.
Go ahead.
We're all still going to have a job. AI will not, in other words, AI is not going to take over our industry. We're
not yet.
So you're not.
All right. So that's Andre's number one. So AI won't take our jobs yet. I got to say you were right on that one. AI didn't wipe out our team here at Exact IT yet. I don't know what it's done at your company. What it's done for us is it's accelerated the quality of some of the things that we put out. It's accelerated our ability to put out documents, content, build things like phishing emails and stuff like that for our phishing tests. It's helped us in a lot of ways. Definitely hasn't replaced jobs though. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I know last year with the surge of ChatGPT and other AI tools, everybody was just thinking like, oh my gosh, you could just, AI can just do this and it's going to you can put an AI tool to basically stop the cyber attacks. And, hey, listen to the last 30 minutes of the show. That certainly didn't happen. And even in 2026 predictions, it's all going to be about AI, of course, but it's going to be just a different way.
Yeah.
It's funny, this prediction, because we saw, I think, around February, March of 2025, a watershed where AI went from the nerds to the everybody's. It seemed to happen almost overnight everywhere around us, and I might be missing it a little bit. But that said, we listen too much, even to this day. We listen too much to the CEOs of the AI companies. Right now, ChatGPT is trying to raise $200 billion. They can't come out and say, y'all, this ain't replacing anybody's job anytime soon. So send me $200 billion. They have to come out and say, this is replacing everybody's job. We all need to learn how to do AI. Now send me $200 billion. Our problem over the last year or two, and if not longer, is we've been hearing the salesmen, which are the CEOs of the AI companies, who are selling their hopeful future so they can bring in trillions of dollars of cash to keep up their dream and keep it alive. We're doing that instead of really understanding AI. And currently, okay, maybe it happens this year. I don't know, Andre, but currently it's not ready to do that. it's ready to do a few things. It's ready to plug and play into certain modules. If you're really, really good at breaking it down to simple like steps, it's really good for that. But yeah, it's not just going to take away complex jobs, at least in 2025. So yeah, my thoughts on this.
Agreed. No, those are some great points. I mean, the world, if you haven't learned from social media how the kind of world works in the internet today, it's humans using the apps, the things, eyeballs on screen, right? At the end of the day, right? And Randy, you nailed it on the head. Like, they're selling what they need to sell, which is user engagement, right? They need people to engage with their platform so it seems real to the investors who have the money, right? Because they're not asking you for the billions, they're asking for the investors, but they have to prove that the masses will use their platform. That's how this game works, right? So, at some point, humans and the masses will wake up and realize they hold all the power. But who knows when that'll happen? I agree, Andre. Randy, AI didn't replace us, but is definitely raising the standard.
That's right.
On what it takes to survive. I mean, it really does. At the end of the day, because we really, as humans, we got to figure this out together, and we got to do it for the right reasons at the end of the day. And the power generation and everything and all of this, like, just to build one AI employee, the amount of power it's going to take. If people understood that, they would understand that the economies really work out long term for what we have right now.
Yeah, I think you and I were talking about this in the green room after our last show, Brian, because literally I can eat a dang orange and power me all day long. Do you know what I mean? Whereas an AI, it's like, to make one image, I've read that Google VO, which I've heard, not Google VO, but Nano Banana, which I've heard they're more efficient now. But 2 months ago, it was one image was the same as running a microwave for a month, and like, I could literally eat an orange. I could probably work till the end of tomorrow off an orange. You know what I mean?
Everybody thinks that, like, when they type in, this is all like free and there's no cost. Oh no, there's a cost.
That's right.
Right, and you ain't paying for it right now. BlackRock.
So we want those.
BlackRock decides it's time for the masses to pay. I'd like to see what that looks like.
Right. Until then, we got the salesman raking in the cash on the front end, so we don't have to pay for it on the back end yet. But you're right; it's going to catch up with us. That's right. Until they can figure out how to make an AI work a whole day off a dang orange. You know what I mean? That ain't happening anytime soon.
And even if you gave you could feed a human the best meal in the world, like a tomahawk steak, right? That costs $500, and a human will get more out of that than these machines will for the same, for the equivalent type of tomahawk steak in power.
Yep.
Right. So, all right, Randy, I think you're up next in the video. I don't know how long we got to play it, but be patient with us.
Man, this was like New Year's Eve, wasn't it? Did we do this on New Year's Eve?
Cyber to AI yet.
No.
So my prediction is, okay, so I called 2024 the year of, let's just call it the session token or the session cookie, right? Well, what's going to happen in 2025? Now that they're more aware of that vulnerability, we'll start seeing it's a very simple change. You take that session token and you tie it to your IP address or your device ID. And if that changes, it's invalidated and everybody logs out. That's my big prediction. I'm starting to see a little bit of that on the cutting edge of people that use these things. Because how many session token like breaches have we seen in the past month, past 2 months? There's been a crap ton. Anyway.
Well, my man picked up on a trend there that played out in 2025. Like, you.
Oh my gosh.
So, yes, you were right on the one side where that OAuth or third-party token abuse really went wild this year. But on the flip side, we didn't do anything about it.
I know. And, it's funny because everything I said there still needs to come true. And that was almost like a wishful prediction,
Right.
And it's very simple programming to tie it to the device ID or the IP address. Is that foolproof? No, it's not foolproof at all. You can fake a device ID, you can fake an IP address, but it's going to knock out like 90% of these in one fell swoop. But the problem is, though, your average bloke down there working on the workstation really hates having to log in and re-log in and redo this and redo that and click yes and reboot. And they're just like, I'm just over all this. I just want to do my work. And so I think they're probably getting some push up from the bottom, some push back from the bottom, keeping this from happening.
So again, it turns down to convenience over security, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Randy definitely got the receipts on this one in 2025. I mean, on the prediction for sure, because I mean they're all over the place with all the examples in the news. Just think about all the ones that never made the news.
Right.
That being said, wow, this is a problem that I just don't see going away anytime soon. And quite frankly, everything we've talked about since the start of the show, AI, cybersecurity, like it's all a slow burn. Like it's just not something that the business understands. Like if we could take anything away from AI and what's going to happen with AI, just look at cybersecurity. We thought cybersecurity was going to get adopted so quick and everybody was going to be amped up to buy this stuff and start protecting they're still not buying it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like I feel like AI is going to play out the same way, where it's going to be like, well, it's out there for you to buy, but businesses are going to be like, well, what's the real benefit here? I can't replace an employee yet. Right. And like, what's the actual real benefit? And they're going to struggle to wrap their head around that, just like they do with cybersecurity. Like everybody thinks AI is going to be like this pie in the sky. Like, here's the answer. It's not. It's going to play out the same way cybersecurity is playing out. Technology takes a long time to play out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. From the first website that was ever built, the first version of Amazon, I remember seeing that, in 1997 or 98 or whatever. And I was in college and my buddy called me up and said, yo, check out this thing, Amazon. The guy's selling books, right? It was so basic, guys.
Right.
So basic. I think it had one image, their logo, and everything else was text. Right. And I don't even think Jeff Bezos at that time thought he was going to be selling every freaking product imaginable in 2025.
Right.
And services and everything else that they sell through that site. Right.
Yes, but looking at him as a model,
right?
He's out front.
Yes.
He's selling the preferred future.
Yes.
And what did it take him 15 years to be profitable? And now he's insanely profitable. Right. I think we all think AI is going to eventually do that as well. Anyway,
I just don't want people to. That's my point. It's going to take. It might not take 15 years. It might take 10, but it ain't going to be 3.
Right.
It's not going to be 1. It's not going to be 3. And 5 is looking pretty not likely at this point. We don't have the power generation to do what every business needs to do.
Wow. And, on a little 20-second tangent, China's had this law where you could only have one kid. And so now they've got like this population inversion, and they're going to be forced into making robotics work. To keep their civilization alive. So we may not have as much of an impetus over here. We're going to see a lot of that coming out of China from a survival standpoint for them, in my opinion.
All right, let's go. I think I have one in here somewhere.
That's my prediction. And I do have to roll.
His internet really started to cut out during his prediction, or is that my internet?
Something's not changing.
Hopefully, it wasn't mine.
I don't know. My prediction is pretty simple. I think that our government will introduce a massive amount of regulation around cybersecurity this year. Businesses won't have to act this year. They'll be given some time. But I think this will be the year that we see, as a result of many more cyber attacks, knee-jerk reaction.
We got the gist of it. At the end of the day, it just backs up what I just said. It's a slow burn. And even with regulation and law, it's probably even a slower burn, right? And as much as I want this stuff to move quicker, I'm learning that politicians do not have an appetite for this. I'm just going to go on a 30-second rant about the nation's most, I would say, concerted effort towards protecting Americans and protecting data, which is CMMC, which is our Department of Defense trying to get a handle on cybersecurity with their defense contractors, because it's the wild, wild west out there. And that's going what I would classify as poorly. The defense contractors still think it's a joke. There's no enforcement, just like HIPAA. And until these organizations start to see enforcement, they're going to play chicken with the government and their contracts. And that's not a good thing. And the reason I bring that up is because that's the culture, that's the mentality that's out there with our business leaders, with our government. Look, our business leaders aren't doing this because the government's sitting there telling them, like, yeah, you got to do it the right way. I've seen government people helping contractors try to skirt this, like telling them how to do things a certain way, or go talk to this company over here because there's collusion going on, right? So like, it's really bad out there, guys, in terms of like where we need to go with this and how we need to go with it. But look, I'm going to just pick my head up out of the sand and look around at what we got going on in other things in the world and how long it takes things to get things done. And I just think that, yeah, while there's heavy continued activity at the state level, I think at least in this administration, I don't see anything seriously happening around cyber in the next 3 years. So other than state level, unless they decide to regulate with these agencies at the federal level, we're never going to get federal laws on the books that curb this stuff and force people to do things the right way. And that's it. And that's where we're at. So unfortunately, I don't know if you guys see it any different, but unfortunately, our federal government was a big disappointment when it came to this stuff in 2025.
Yeah, there was basically nothing. I don't know that there was anything. There
wasn't even like a Biden, like fluffy, like here's our nation's cybersecurity plan. Like we didn't even get that from the Trump administration.
Yeah, we got a last minute.
Not that I thought the Biden thing was any good, but it was just fluff. But
yeah,
at least a conversation starter.
It was something. Yeah. And I've not really seen anything in the news. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere talking about it, but just not seeing it a lot. Hardly anything in 2025 moving the ball down the field on this. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, and you have the government agencies, CISA, their budget was cut 16% and 1,000 jobs reduced for 2026.
Yeah. And this administration wanted to kill the CVE database and that whole reporting system for CVEs. I mean, it's and from that standpoint, from government regulation standpoint and government helping out, they're not leading.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're there, they'll support, but there's no leadership.
Yeah, and for your average bloke out there that's watching the show, the CVE database, every time they find a vulnerability, they publish it, and it's used by
it's the lifeblood of our communication system for vulnerability.
Yeah,
I mean, it is,
and it's used by a ton of softwares to compare and find vulnerabilities. I mean,
you can go other places, but it's not as good as what we've built.
Right.
And with January shutdown probably happening again, and then midterms in November, your cyber is just not going to be a topic at all.
No, sir. I agree.
And of course, healthcare as well with that ending.
Well, unless we get punched in the face.
Mm.
Unless we get punched in the face.
Yeah, there's a couple of movies that came out in 2025 that talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, everything's good until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
You know, so we say that all the time. All right, gentlemen, drum roll, please. It's time for your predictions for 2026. You guys didn't do too bad last year. I would say I did the worst. But I always try to go out there on a limb a little bit, and maybe that was more of a hope than a prediction. But here we go. For 2026, what do you guys got for me? We'll go Randy, then Andre, and then me.
Andre and I have very similar predictions, so I don't want to steal his fire by me going first.
I have two predictions, so if you take one, I'll do the other.
Awesome. But, we talked about it in our show a few weeks ago where we saw the first AI being used in basically a leadership decision-making position, where the average time from getting in to lateral movement, we've seen it since 2020, go down to, I think, around 45 minutes. And the AI in this particular thing made the decision so fast, it was moving laterally in less than a minute. And so what that's going to do is we're going to have to rethink the whole limiting the blast radius and response and all that jazz, where, current thought creates an alert. It gets triaged, by some machine learning, maybe a little AI, and then a human looks at it, and then it's solved in about 60 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever. We're going to have to see that go down to the whole less than a minute thing, because we're going to see lateral movement. It's going to be happening faster because of AI, and AI making those decisions without having to involve a human. So that's my prediction. We're going to see more of that. Pretty obvious prediction, but we're going to see more of that in 2026, and we're going to see it change our industry and the amount of time it takes to react, solve, fix, remediate, whatever you want to call it. It's going to shorten that time. It's going to force that. So that's me.
Okay, so I'll take a different twist on that. So I'm going to use what Randy always says is bad GPT. So there's an article that I saw, and it's called Dig AI. And it's, in a sense, a way for, like right now, if you go into ChatGPT or Gemini and you try to ask it a question that is sort of kind of illegal, it's going to then say, I don't know, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But they've been able to, just like how on the Android people, you guys can jailbreak your cell phones. Well, they've found ways to basically jailbreak ChatGPT, some older versions of it. And then now using that model, they can now say, this is what I'm trying to do. Help me, pass and go to ABC. So with this Dig AI, it's on the Tor network, which is where the bad guys go and do all their bad stuff. We're going to start to see more of that. And not only is it going to be for cybersecurity, but we're going to start to see a lot of more believable AI. Like the other day, I saw a gorilla versus a man pulling a cable, and I really thought it was real, but then obviously a gorilla wouldn't be a man. But it looks so real. Like they did a really good job. So you're going to start to see more scams, more things believable because of AI. And of course, that's going to be making it easier. Hackers are just going to call, hey, this is Sam from IT support. Can I log into your computer, have full-blown conversations, and it's going to turn out it's all AI.
Wow.
Yeah, I think both of your predictions are good, but I also think that they're things that will, and you both said it, they will play out over time. We'll see some of this year, but this will also be stuff, both things that you guys talked about are things that we're going to be dealing with for years. It's just going to continue to evolve, right? And get better,
not just next year.
better and better. And it's just, I'm just so interested, and I want to see where all this stuff goes and how. I mean, obviously, I can see where it's going. It's just how long is it going to take us to get there? right? Is it going to take us 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? You know, because it's just like the quicker, the way I look at it is like with technology, the quicker we can have it, the more I get to see in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to be here forever, right? I'm going to expire, and then technology is going to continue to evolve. And obviously, I like technology, or I wouldn't be doing this business, right? And it really is exciting to see this stuff evolve the way that it has, right? And again, I'm a guy who grew up in a time where we didn't have anything, right? We didn't have phones, computers, internet. Like I lived in those times, so going through all of this is super cool for me. But you know, it's just one of those things where it's just like I don't know how fast or slow this is going to move.
I came on this, Brian, where we went to a concert and all we had was a lighter. We didn't have a phone or cameras or any of that jazz. We weren't allowed to bring cameras.
Right.
So,
I went to a concert and I had to bum a lighter. Bum a lighter.
I guess in my times, I grew up where Tupac was already dead, so they had holograms of Tupac.
Oh,
there
you go.
You're older than that, dude.
So did you have a second one, or was that your second one?
No, I'll let Brian go because I'm not sure what his is. But I do have a second one. Yeah.
Okay.
So my prediction's a little interesting. I thought about this for a little while because I knew this show was coming. And just like I talk about cyber resilience a lot, I also think a new term is going to be kind of out there. At least I'm hoping a new term kind of starts to evolve, and that's operational downtime, and that becoming a major KPI that executives track and pay attention to. Because I think that's the KPI that makes you understand what the dollars and cents are around data loss or not being able to get to your data, right? So at the end of the day, data loss is, in my mind now, as I evaluate all this stuff and think about it, data loss is the precursor to downtime, right? Eventually, they're going to get enough data, or they're going to get the right data to give you downtime. Right. And as a CEO and as a business owner, downtime just humiliates and bankrupts you. And that's the deal. So that's it for me, though, guys. That's all I got. Downtime's going to do it to you. So,
and you're speaking their language now.
Yeah.
Right. You're not saying, oh, you get hacked and, whatever. Downtime goes back to failure in management, not that you got hacked. And if you can position it that way to say, you're going to look bad or your company is going to lose X versus saying you get hacked, then now you're speaking that executive's language.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I hope companies start to embrace this idea, but it is what you need to start focusing on in the C-suite is operational downtime. And your job should be to mitigate operational downtime as much as you possibly can. That's how you plan for this stuff. And if you have to put an incident response plan in place, your goal is to reduce operational downtime. That's your goal. So,
good point.
All right. That's it for me. Any last thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up?
I'll do a bonus. The bonus is going to be that apps that connect to other apps will be a bigger risk. So right now in our world, we're talking about APIs and different type of integrators, but basically just like how these AI tools are being built overnight, or what it seems overnight, with no security in place, we're going to then start to see news. We're going to be talking about news articles about big, not necessarily ChatGPT, but big AI tools that people are using, that they integrated their SharePoint, their Google Docs, and other stuff. And because that AI tool got hacked, they essentially also got compromised. And we're going to start to see, letters that come out just like to say, hey, we believe, someone may have gotten your data, but don't worry, here's 12 months of credit checks. And that's now going to be coming from AI tools.
Yep. All right, guys. That's it. That's our annual prediction show, our last show here for 2025 here on the Security Squawk. Wish
Wow.
Randy, we got an email here, Randy, from the Association of Blokes, and they said they would wish you would stop calling them average. So, and 2025, guys, you do not need
average.
What's that?
What?
What'd you say?
I said your average bloke, not that blokes are average.
Yeah.
I'm saying your average bloke.
They're offended.
What did you say before that?
I said, I just said 2025 prove you do not need exotic hacking to cause massive damage. You need weak identity controls, messy third-party access, and unpatched internet-facing systems. I mean, that's another thing. Now that I said that, you guys better pay attention to who has access to your third party and vet the crap out of them, because they're going to cause problems for you in the future. I don't know if it'll be in 2026 or whatever, but these third-party integrations and our willingness to just do things with third parties is really going to become a problem for businesses in terms of operational downtime, right? Because a third party could cause you to have operational downtime. And as I said in previous shows, that could be a problem for you. So, hey, if you want to drop your 2026 predictions in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Love to let us know what you think's coming in 2026 around cybersecurity or even AI. But if you got value out of this episode, please like it, subscribe, leave a review, share it with someone who still thinks cybercrime is one of those, IT problems or IT issues. And if you want support the show directly, buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Security Squawk. And from Randy, Andre, and I, we wish you all happy holidays, happy new year, and we will see you all in 2026.
All right. Take care.
Bye, everybody.